Joining us right now on the phone is the man who exposed the Bigfoot hoax, Steve Kulls, private investigator and executive director of Squatchdetective.com.
The numbers of sightings, even if you take 99% of them and put them in the trash can, you turn around, you still have that 1% that can't be explained. Well, we need to explain it.
And then this thing walks across the road, makes a turn towards us.
All I can remember is flipping the light on, and I see this creature.
Went to look forward, and there was a big black thing, is all I can call it.
The whole time, the whole thing was shadowing us, right behind us, right on the side of us.
I still see that damn thing to this day. It wasn't 20 feet from me.
You could see it standing from the moonlight in the tree line.
I was just scanning right to left, and it reminded me of like a gorilla.
Get somebody out here. Son of a bitch is about 6'9", I don't know.
Welcome to Squatch-D TV, exploring the Bigfoot mystery each week with your hosts, veteran researcher, author, and TV personality, the Squatch Detective, Steve Kulls, and from the Bigfoot Research Project of Kentucky, Chris Bennett. Sit back and buckle up as we bring you guests from around North America discussing the Bigfoot phenomena, but not without a few laughs too. Here are your hosts, Steve and Chris.
And good evening, cyberspace. Welcome to Squatch-D TV for today's date, May 21st, 2023. I'm your host, your guide, the Squatch Detective, Steve Kulls, along with my co-host, back in action, Mr. Chris Bennett.
What's going on, Steve? It's good to see you, buddy.
What's up, my brother?
Have y'all been having some decent weather up there in New York, or you been having some storms?
Well, we haven't had much rain. It's been pretty good for the last couple of weeks. Unless, of course, I wanted to do something yesterday. I wanted to go hit the mountain, and it rained.
Yeah, we had some rain here in Kentucky yesterday, and it cooled up a little bit last night, but, man, today was really beautiful. I love it. Good squatching weather.
Yes.
Not too hot, not too cold.
Especially at nighttime. It's really cool at night. You can put a coat or a couple of layers on and you feel perfect.
Man, we appreciate having a fur coat at night. Yeah.
So anyway, people, I last weekend I was at the Rochester Parafest. Unfortunately, I couldn't get back in time to do the show, which is fine because you needed the week off. So, we've been off for the last couple of weeks, and it's good to be back in the saddle, and we have a lot of good news to report tonight. But I put a picture up on Facebook the other day of me sitting in a tattoo chair while I was getting tattooed. And,
I noticed that.
And people been asking me what it is, and if people haven't seen it, it's the logo Squatch.
He is officially branded. Yes, he is.
And I got to say, my hat off to Tony DeVille out of Baltimore, Maryland, who was the tattoo artist. Phenomenal. And this is probably the easiest going tattoo I've ever had.
That had to hurt, man. That had to hurt.
Not really. Considering it was in the nerve area, it was, it stung a little more than like the inner arms. But
Steve Kulls, toughest man I know.
Well, it does take an act of Congress to get me to go to the doctor or the dentist for a toothache. So it's like, oh. But anyhow, we got a bunch of shout outs to do tonight.
Yeah. Golly, look at the people in the chat.
It is going crazy.
Gals. Yeah. Goodness.
And I know Doug is hiding in the shadows right now. But
good to see you.
First things first, before we do our roll call tonight, I want to throw out our thank you to our new channel members.
Yeah.
And
thank you for your support.
Thank you for your support. Where is man, that chat is going. Of course, tonight we had Brandy subscribe as a channel sponsor, as well as as a channel supporter, as did Chance Lambert. And of course, our first channel sponsor is Kevin Nealon. And thank you all.
Brandy.
Thank you all if you're out there tonight. But we wanted to throw a shout out and a thanks to you guys. You guys are supporting good Bigfoot research and honest Bigfoot programming, and that is huge. And tonight we have on another gentleman who is definitely putting forth honest research out there, which is awesome. Let me get the chat back to where it was. And but as far as let's do the roll call, and then we'll talk about the membership real quick. Right. So let's go to the top of the list. Whoa. And of course, because she's a member, we have to say, Brandy. Hello, Brandy. Good to see you. Good to hear you. Well, good to hear you. I'll see you after the show, hopefully. maybe she'll make an appearance behind her paw.
Probably.
So let's see up the list. So, and my God, the chat is hopping tonight. So first in today was Lori Barnes. Welcome, Lori. Uncle Bones 2. Lance Windsor, B. Lynn, and Chris. He's usually first tonight. I'm surprised he got beat. Patrick Collins, I know he's floating out there. Mick, of course, the mighty Mick is on the channel.
Mick, love you, man.
And we got Pete H. Welcome. Jay Fritz. Jay Fritz, who made our intro. Grasshoppers in the house. Kevin Harder. Hello, Kevin.
Kevin, good to see you. Welcome.
Man, when he was on the show, he frightened the howler. Hey, welcome. Sandra Piper, hello. We got Joe, Bigfoot Atheist Inquiry.
Hey, Joe.
Hello, Joe. Angel Nolan, good to see you. Bigfoot Okanagan, Leon, good to see you.
Hey, Leon, good to see you.
Sharon, hello. Gary Johnson Sr.
Hi, Sharon.
Says, well, seems I'm here.
Gary.
Sasquatch Wizard Adirondacks, John Ayers. Hello.
John.
Mike over at Tactical Bigfoot Research. Hello, Michael.
Hello, Mike.
Jen, Finding the Trackway.
Hi, Jen.
Hello, guys. Bigfoot and More. Hello. Bigfoot Society. Hello. The Bigfoot Influencers. Hello.
Bigfoot. Golly, you guys come up with so many great names. How do you do that?
DM Zabo in the house. The Bat Mom. Hello. Bigfoot and More. I think we already said that one, though.
Bat Mom? Wow. I cannot believe there's a
former everything in the house. Everybody's here tonight. Jeez, Chris, I think we were missed.
Oh, I'm glad to see you guys, and I'm appreciative of you being here.
Justin Butler and Smithley DeGreat.
Justin Smith.
Sorry, I got a little frog in my throat. Kaiju Ninja 1985. He said he needs it.
I'm lost. Kaiju Ninja, good to see you.
Hairy Man Hoaxes and Hoodwinks. Nikki, hello.
Nikki. Hi, Nikki. Thanks for coming in.
Well, I think I got everybody.
I got lost halfway down, man. I'm sorry.
So, hello, crew. We got a full house tonight. Amazing. So, we're talking a little bit about earlier about the membership we started, and excuse me. Sorry, I'm drinking coffee, and sometimes that.
Oh no, you gotta get you some of this stuff. Ski, that'll fix you up there. Citrus, non-alcoholic.
Citrus will give me heartburn.
Oh yeah, that's what makes it good.
Nothing like bringing up the past. Anyway, but over on the membership side of things, we announced a couple of new programming notes for the new channel. So I'm going to hit this video. It's about a minute long, and then we'll come back on. We'll get Doug right on the air. So here it is.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love.
Hey folks, I want you to consider joining the channel as a member. It's a great way to support great Bigfoot research and an honest channel out there. And it starts at only 99 cents. And already we've announced the 2 new shows we're putting on there. Plus you're going to get a lot more, and you're going to see me uncensored as well. So anyway folks, consider it, think about it. You have 3 levels. The highest level is only $4 a month to become a channel sponsor. So a lot of great perks. Check it out. We'll catch you all later. And of course, I lied. The highest level's $3, not $4. So, yeah. Happens when you're doing like the 78th take. Because but no lie, when I tried to do that video today, a guy started mowing his lawn in my neighborhood. So I got in the car. Yeah. I drove down to the park, and every time I'd start the video, somebody'd walk out of the bushes. I'm like, what the hell? You couldn't win. So
one at a time.
One at a time, please. One at a time. But yeah, and listen, that's not going to change anything we do here. We're still going to be putting videos out for the general public as well.
Yeah.
You know, any breaking news, any stuff like that. The membership stuff, we're doing a little some fun stuff, some behind the scenes stuff. Like for example, the very first driver side chat, I actually do a taste test.
Huh.
I actually try a new product I've never tried before while I'm driving. Like that's safe, but yeah, and you could see me throughout the whole thing. I'm like, trying to get around, but yeah, it's a lot of fun over there. We're gonna keep building that, and plus, you know, you get some insight to what's going on. You get to give feedback. It's a whole bunch of fun over there. So
yeah, plus you know the other side is maybe a little more adult oriented.
It's a little more personal. It's a little more uncensored, and that was why I'm bringing the vlog, the video blog, back to that side because I can be a little more unfiltered and I can say what I think.
Yeah, we try to keep the show rated G, you know, but
PG-13, Chris.
PG-13, yeah.
So get the little ones out.
I mean, have you seen Disney stuff lately? I mean, come on.
So anyway, Doug, I know Doug is hiding back there if he wants to pop on. There he is. Just right on cue.
All right.
Hey, Steve. Hey, guys.
Hey, there he is. Let's give him the applause. So, Doug, good to see you, my friend.
Good to see you, Steve. It's been a while.
And a big congratulations to the order because I see you have gotten Legend Meat Science 2 funded, which I think is phenomenal.
Yeah, well, it's funded. It was kind of our minimum, but it's gets us a really good start where I'm not going to have to dig too deep into my retirement, you know, to fund this thing. And I always like to tell people, you know, that Legend Meat Science 1 literally just got finished, paid for.
Wow.
It was like 2 months ago.
Wow. And out of the hole and right back in.
Now we're right back. Oh, it's perfect timing. We just got out of the hole in the one, and now we're ready to dive back in. So, quality over cost. We're not worried about the cost. It's just want to get it done. We're going to have a lot more expenses with this one than the first one. Many more forensic tests, far more DNA tests, other chemical breakdown tests, like on the skin oil of the Bigfoot. We believe we've got numbers of pieces, and we're going to, for the first time, take this skin oil and figure out what's in it, because all of the other primates have already been done. So, you know, orangutans have been analyzed, chimps, and, you know, gorillas, and each one has a very unique signature. So if we can get this sebum, you know, classified unto itself, and then scientists can go collect more, which is actually pretty easy to do because Bigfoot seem to be very tactile. They like to touch things. It's one thing we all kind of know. They'll touch a nice clean windshield, side window, car paint, anything glossy. And, of course, I wonder, well, why would they do that? Well, think about it. There's nothing glossy in the woods. Yeah. So they see something shiny and they're like, other than water, and maybe that's what they think it is, that it's actual water. And so they touch it, and whatever's this waxy, skin oil that they have, which, by the way, may be enhanced by something they produce under their armpits. And I was going to mention to you, Steve, and I guarantee you've never heard this, but because it's only been viewed by, as far as I know, only one person, where male gorillas will get a little upset and they'll start bubbling out this white substance under their armpits. And it's like this waxy, thick stuff. And it was interesting because the zookeeper goes to me, he goes, we couldn't get it off the window at the zoo. Oh. And I went, ooh, that's exactly what everybody talks about.
Yeah.
With the handprints and the fingerprints, including face prints. So I wonder if they're not rubbing this stuff, because if you think about it, what does a baseball pitcher do? He likes his hand, moist, whether it's from Vaseline or some other substance, but it helps you grip. So maybe they're rubbing this stuff on them to help them grip. It could repel mosquitoes, bugs. It could just protect from UV rays. I mean, God knows, it could have a lot of uses. Because humans, we have cholesterol in our skin oil. Gorillas don't. They have a certain amount of triglycerides. Humans don't. So there'll be an exact chemical signature. So those are the kinds of things that are going to be, they're a little more out there and costly, even more so than probably DNA. And of course, you can't just do it once. You got to do it, numerous times.
Sure. Right.
Make sure that, whatever information is not BS. So we're going to be, in fact, we just did. We're putting up a page to where if anybody wants to still donate $10 for the cause, still get their name in the credits, still do a pre-order, on the film or whatever they want, whatever level they want to do, they can still do that. And I think I sent you a link.
Yep. And the link, folks, and I was going to get to that. The link, folks, is in the description of the show episode tonight. So if you go down to the episode description, it's right under, tonight we talk with Doug Hajicek of, Legend Meets Science 2, and to pre-order and still contribute. And there's a link down there. Yeah. Click on that. Hey, $10 is a great deal.
Yeah, it goes a long way. It adds up. The strength in numbers is kind of where we need it. People we all have a vested interest in knowing more about these. None of us have ever really seen a true scientific paper published in a, number of journals to get the DNA and to figure out what's going on. So I just think we all have a lot to gain by funding these scientific tests. And so, and there's going to be a lot more to the film than that, but this is not just an entertainment film. This is kind of bringing it up to a new level. And then as a bonus, Jeff Meldrum's writing a new book that'll be based on the doc that will go into greater detail than even the doc can. And Jeff's excited about that. We're excited about that. And it's just, I don't know. I just think the whole thing has been kind of needed because I've been a little bit on the letdown. I think a lot of people have, that there hasn't been anything real major for the last, 25, 30 years.
Yep. Well, I know we have hit that disappointment plateau when we heard about the, Erickson project and then the Ketchum project. And it was just like big letdowns.
Yeah.
And, the exciting thing I think about LMS2 is having Jeff from Pine Island Research. I heard he's going to wear a pork chop around his neck and go running through the woods.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's actually going to be some very, very perfectly cooked smoked bacon.
Oh,
Smoked bacon necklace.
Oh, very nice.
Oh, God.
But I had to rib him just a little bit, just a little fun.
That's all I ever do when I talk to Jeff. Give him hell.
So, they may the apocrine glands of a gorilla. I mean, we've always heard that may be part of the stench too.
Yep, correct.
When you hear something like this, it almost makes you ask more questions. Like, could it be maybe a wave marking their scent on something?
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it's like
we just almost can get brain diarrhea thinking of all the uses. But it was so interesting when the zookeeper told me that these bubbles were like elastic, like thick, bubbly, like milkweed. We've all played with milkweed when we were a kid, milkweed plants. So it's kind of like a milkweed. It's just thick, but it was just so great when he goes, "Oh, we couldn't get the stuff off the windows, and so no matter what we tried, it just wouldn't come off." And I literally get letters every week, Steve, the people that go, "Yeah, it's this handprint on my side window. It's still there. It's been almost a year. I've gone through 4 car washes." It's super interesting. So that's. But
anyway.
But
Mike says, we know Doug will put out a great product, so we should be sporting this. Most of us were introduced to cryptids from his products, and that's true.
Yeah, that must
be my favorite series. That's got to be Mike. MonsterQuest.
That's got to be Mike. Mike Ann.
Yep.
I put it this way. The sebum alone, guys, is 3D evidence. It leaves latent, so you get all the fingerprinting. You get the sweat pores. You get all that, and that can be lifted and taken, photographed really carefully. Then you get DNA that's in the sebum, sloughed off skin cells. So now you can do nuclear DNA in that by collecting the skin oil. And then you've got the chemical compound, which I know will be unique on some level. And then you got the repeatability by just adding a piece of 12 by 12 shiny acrylic, maybe to your gifting site or by your camera trap, and just see if they don't or can't resist the temptation to handle it and leave this beautiful handprint for you. Well, now you got something to collect. Oh, and you can also add a piece of the hook Velcro onto this piece of shiny acrylic. And by God, you might collect the nuclear DNA, and you probably get the mitochondrial DNA from the hair and the hair samples. So, I mean, it could actually end up being 4D evidence if you do all that and get lucky. So, there you go.
Well, that's what I like about what you do, Doug. You go beyond. You ask questions that nobody else is asking. Well, and you dig deeper than other people.
I drove my parents crazy, Chris, when I was oh my God, you have no idea. They actually had a name for it because I just would hammer with questions. And even at a very young age, and so there was a lot of Dougie questions, they called it. And I know I drove my parents crazy. So God, please forgive me for doing that.
I'm sure they're proud of you.
Yeah. So
hey Chris, I did back down my gain on my mic a little bit.
Okay.
Because somebody, it's amazing because when I'm hearing myself, I don't hear it being as hot.
You sound good now.
Yeah. Okay.
You know the weird thing is, I'll leave my studio for a few days and I'll come back and I'll swear to God there was a ghost in here. Changing settings in the computer, changing the mic settings, and yet I know the door's been shut and locked.
Right.
And it's kind of weird. So there you go.
Well, I know StreamYard has its own auto leveling sometimes, and that may throw that. When I'm hearing myself fine. Yeah. And, if that gain is up one notch, it blows everybody up. So, but it's not showing up on my board. It's how StreamYard's putting it out. So I have to really back down my mic to be broadcast out to people normally. So, one of the, tweaks of this microphone, I had a Blue Yeti for I had 2 of them. Chris has 1, and I sent him that one because the jack connection was getting a little loose, and I bought a new one.
Yeah,
I bought a new one, and the new one, the jack just died on it.
I have a tip for you on the Blue Yeti. Go buy the cheapest cord, the jack cord on Amazon. And that fixes the problem because the cord they send you is janky and it gets real loose real quick. And
I found out that it was the actual jack in the unit that was broken because I tried several cords and I was getting so far.
Okay.
So I ended up chucking it, and the mic was only like a year old.
It's a great mic, but that's the weak point in that mic.
So now I'm actually using a Zoom microphone, but it doesn't have a built-in gain, so I have to use that through my soundboard.
Right.
So
and that's an XLR mic, as I remember.
Yep.
You gotta have a board.
No, not really. You can. It's actually a USB mic.
It is.
Yep. And let me just check one thing. You know what? One thing I didn't check on my audio. Nope, we're all good. Okay. But what I do is it goes into my computer, but then it gets piped through my soundboard as well.
Yeah, okay. Gotcha.
So.
Well, we're born people, I guess, with USB.
Mic talk. We want to talk about.
Yeah.
So
I could talk about mics forever, but.
I'm sure you could talk about cameras. So let's talk about cameras now.
Sure, we can do that. Hey, we can switch to that. See, I'm about to buy a Sony A7A. You know what that is, Steve?
No clue.
Okay, it's got an ISO of over 500,000 K, which means it can see in total darkness in color, just like noon. It's just like in middle of the night, no moon. It's just like it was high noon.
Wow, that's something you probably can't find at your local Walmart either.
No, but literally you can buy them on Amazon.
Wow.
But the key is to look for that high ISO number that's over 500. And that's what I'm excited. We're going back up to Snell in August.
Oh yeah, Snell Grove Lake.
And we're bringing that particular camera, and we're going to do some. There happens to be a nice little island right across the cabin, and we're going to literally do a stakeout with long lenses from that island of the cabin, and maybe then some other nights do some boat surveillance with the A7A. So I'm excited about. What could happen, because unlike thermal cam footage, which is it's great because it's all we have.
Yep.
But if you have a 400 millimeter lens and you have the A7A camera, now you can get beautiful color footage in pitch darkness.
Yeah.
Wow. So.
Wow.
That's one of the things that I want to do. I want to go down the river at night with a nice thermal camera, and check out all sides of the bank as the boat kind of floats down river, moves with the current.
Yeah, it's a great. To me, those are the only ways to ever bust a Bigfoot. In its own game is silence and just floating, or a bike or an e-bike. That's silent. They may hear a bike coming, but they're going to think they got tons of time. They're not going to realize you can go 45 miles an hour on that bicycle.
We do have a question from Kaiju Ninja 1985. He asked, Doug, are the cabin owners still reporting activity?
Well, there is no cabin owner. There's no really anybody even owns the land. It's a tourism thing that the government, they allow you to bring 6 people in at a time. It's quite expensive to get there. So the cabin's empty a lot of the time, but I've not heard of any because I don't even know who's running the program over there at this point. There should be, the diary should be continue. So if there's been any activity, that should be all listed in the diary, because everybody's required to write down the weather, kind of what happened that day, what wildlife you saw, blah, 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 blah. So it all should be in the diary, and that'd be one of the first things I'm going to do is grab that diary and just start reading it.
And then you'll find the pages missing.
Yeah. So do we saw it'll be torn a bit. Yeah, that's exactly what.
Or somebody spilled coffee on or something. The curse of Bigfoot continues.
I see somebody had asked. I don't mean to do your job, Steve. Sorry.
Oh,
somebody had asked how the best way to collect a handprint.
Yeah.
Photograph the living hell out of it. Get some paper envelopes. Get 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 paper envelopes. Get some Q-tips. Have them on hand. Wear a mask so you're not breathing, germs and stuff on the Q-tip. Swab it for the chemical compounds. Swab it for the DNA. And that's it. Put it in the paper envelopes. Throw it on your shelf out of the sun, out of the heat, and you're good.
And you can actually get buccal swabs and tubes containers.
Yes.
For the swabs online on Amazon.
Yeah,
So
you can. And then I also think there's been a really cool custom kit developed by Shelley Covington, Montana. Has put together a really complete kit for the pro people out there that really want to, do it right and make sure they don't screw anything up. So, and they're available, I don't know, on her Facebook or a website. So there you go.
Okay. John Ayers, man. I think.
John, where's it at?
Everything is moving so fast.
Okay,
that,
is that it? Darkness. Let's drown in salt mine.
Who knows what John means by that?
I have no idea.
He's got a sense of humor like no one else. Hey, John.
Well, there have been reports of Bigfoots being reported in old mines.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm not personally experienced that, but hey, it could happen.
I do wonder if they've ever found any animals or any wildlife in a salt mine, bats or anything. I do wonder that.
I would think so. Yeah. I've never, worked in a coal mine, but thank goodness, knock on wood.
Yeah.
But it's just a big hole in the ground, and things tend to go there.
So
go ahead. Go. No,
Doug,
I was just going to address that one.
Yeah. So Kaiju Ninja asked Doug, can you get eDNA from a footprint or even a cast?
Yeah, if you get a real fresh cast and there's footprint, you can cast the thing and then scrape all the soil, into it. Once again, a paper. Buy a bunch of large paper envelopes, scrape the soil in. There will be, some of the skin cells in that envelope, no doubt. And they can do the eDNA. It's just the eDNA is still very kind of hit and miss. It's getting better, but why not collect it?
Yeah, it's amazing now because if somebody leaves a fingerprint behind at a crime scene, they can now get your DNA from it.
Yeah.
And
that's one of the things I was really excited about. This.
Well,
eDNA.
that's where I got the idea. That's where I got the idea of the skin oil. I figured, well, there's got to be sloughed off skin cells also in a Bigfoot fingerprint.
Right. Exactly.
So.
Will robot baby Bigfoot include a speaker so as to play baby cries, etc.?
Yeah, of course. Yep. Of course. And that whole idea stems from a number of incidents where, like, we've been filming reenactments for, like, MonsterQuest, and all of a sudden big rocks will be sailed over the top of the forest canopy and land by our Bigfoot suit. And we're like, is that a coincidence, or is that a Bigfoot thinking that we've done something to one of their own? Because the suit is laying on the ground,
Like you can ask Mike Ann about that. When we're together, we always seem to have rocks thrown at us. The last time we had a rock fall, like right next to our feet. Like, what the hell? So it's not like we're in a great meteor area either. It's not going to come from space. Speaking of Mike, he asked Doug, will you look for giant trout when you go back north?
Not going that far. I'm only going up about, a third of the distance that was. So we're going up to Snell, which is from the border probably 600 miles straight north. But where we saw those trout were right on the top edge of the Northwest Territories up in Canada. So that was thousands of miles more north. Yeah, it's nuts.
And I saw a comment by Joe saying that he's tried baby cries in the past, and he's afraid he hasn't tried them, and he's afraid they would attract coyotes. And I can say from experience, every time I've blasted baby cries, and I do that quite a bit, never attracted one coyote.
No, and I haven't either. We actually I did that at Snell once. I hit a whole bunch of these little Bluetooth speakers all over and played creepy kids playing, not crying, but children playing.
Yep.
So it sounded like children were playing in the forest. You'd hear a kid laugh over here, and then you'd hear a kid laugh over here. That was even creepy. And literally, that was that weekend that we actually had the cabin attacked. So, I mean, I just don't think anything like that's going to hurt anything.
Well, I'm a firm believer that they are interested in watching children.
Yes.
Or looking at
I've heard
children.
Too many.
Have
Been
no
too many
idea.
stories, Chris.
Yeah, I have no idea what's on their mind. You know, they might be thinking, "Oh, look at the cute little human," you know, or they might be thinking, "Hey, it's lunch," you know.
Well, one of the best stories I've ever heard is in the Memorial Day footage. I talked to numerous campers that were there that day, and they said this thing came out and was watching their kids. You know, they were playing. They were running around, playing frisbee and doing, and this thing kept peeking around from behind a tree. And that's how that all had started, because it started scaring everybody in the camp. And apparently, I believe it was a female, because it lifted at the end. It lifts something up on its back, and then it stands up on its own, you know, under its own power. People go, well, that's the head of the costume. Well, no. Because if you look, the arms are at the side, and then the thing pops up on its own. So whoever said that, you need to watch it about 1,000 times, and all of a sudden it'll hit you. No, it's popped up on its own. So I believe there was an infant in that footage, and it was out in the open, which is pretty cool. So that was in Legend Meets Science 1, where I think we mapped the whole damn mountain.
Yeah, I was always a big believer that you could use a female Sasquatch's maternal instincts against her by using that baby cry.
Yep.
But, you know, I hadn't had any luck with it. But, you know, then again, I don't know that a Sasquatch juvenile or infant, what they would sound like either. So maybe they don't sound anything like humans.
Try laughing, try playing, you know, take your kids to their grandkids to the park, and just record the kids having fun at the park. I think that might be even more effective.
Right.
Well, I'm almost wondering if it's smart enough to realize that if a child is crying in distress, it's probably not a good idea to approach that, because there may be a parent nearby.
Yeah, yeah.
And that may be a reason why they don't approach the baby cry. But laughing, I agree. That may, this goes back to the Fouke, Arkansas days when, you know, I forget what the name of the family was. They're putting their laundry up, and there it is standing on the edge of the woods watching them. They have a tremendous curiosity, and I think that works to our advantage, provided we provide the subterfuge for it.
Well, Steve, okay, you're a private detective. You know that curiosity and greed are your probably two biggest weapons if you're on a case. Sure. And those are the same things that you can use, you know, with the Bigfoot. I know damn well that's their weakness. Curiosity, and probably there's got to be a little greed there too, like, you know, all living creatures. So you got to figure out how to play up to that.
And it's just primate curiosity, especially when, you know, I was just actually reading some case accounts of, you know, serial killers and how they monitor the grave sites of their victims once they're buried. That's why they make their funerals very public, because they want that predator to show up there. And
interesting.
That's how they actually, one of the corroborations when they caught a serial killer by the name of Larry Gene Bell was they actually had his license plate recorded the day of the funeral, driving by the scene a couple of times. So curiosity does kill the cat all the time.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. I mean, you know, and I've tried a ton of stuff, and I'm sure you have too, but you know what? There's still a million combinations, and everything I've tried and failed might work in a different situation. Because,
as we know, primates, they have their own cultures and subcultures amongst themselves.
Yeah.
They learn different traits. They learn different characteristics. You know, depending on where they are, like the chimpanzees that use the stick to go down the anthills. Not all chimpanzees know how to do that.
Right. It's a learned behavior.
Yeah.
So, and that's passed off by their parents to the next generation, and then to the next generation. And that is the definition of culture there.
Yeah.
So when you pass off, you know, specific traits. So what do you think is going to be the actual breakthrough? Is it going to be DNA, or is it going to be that serum?
I'm hoping for the skin oil. Yeah, that's what I'm hoping. Believe it or not, because here's why. It's something that can be so easily repeated by every researcher for a couple of bucks. That's why. It's just not, I mean, you know, it's going to be a rare chance somebody's going to get blood. It's pretty tough to get a patch of skin, but 3D evidence, the latent stuff, which you know cannot be faked. Nobody can fake that on the latent details. So you get that, then you get the nuclear DNA, and then you get the skin oil stuff. And I'm really hoping, and I'm kind of predicting, that DNA tests are going to be like our copy machines, our printers that we buy now for $40 at Walmart. The DNA machines, I think, are going to come down to literally a level, you know, I don't think it'll be long till they're $500, then $250, because they're going to want to sell you the refills, you know, the testing refills, and they're going to be expensive. But I think we're all going to be able to buy a DNA machine within the next 10 years.
They'll be expensive. That is until the Chinese flood the market with some knockoff ones.
I just paid $45 for one cartridge of black ink that lasts like maybe 200 copies. Maybe. I doubt it. It'll even last 100.
Well, I have a jet printer, and the cartridges run about $45 a piece. Yeah. They do last about 1,000 sheets.
Yeah.
But instead, I go to Amazon and buy the Chinese knockoffs, and I get it for $18.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
And they work good.
Guys, give me an
but
idea.
I think that's going to be a big breakthrough, and we're we've actually captured the sting that Bigfoot's put off.
Really?
Yeah, that's gonna get tested too, and that can be done by anybody. Just with once again, you got to get them to handle something, and plastic is very absorbent.
There's a great marketing idea there. If you can duplicate that, you can make a ton of those scratch and sniffs and charge people.
Oh my God!
Smell a Sasquatch.
No.
Oh, man.
Oh, it's bad, Steve. It's bad. It's bad. You would not.
I've smelled one before. Not good.
Bad.
Not good.
It's like a dead body.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Yeah, a dead body rolled with a skunk and some musk.
Yeah, then throw in a little poop and let's see what else, something else in there. Yeah, it's bad.
It's horrible. And
it's gagging.
Because I actually I talk about this in Bigfoot in New York on MonsterQuest Season 2. How that walked by me and I got hit with this stink. And then we found the track afterwards.
Well, let's talk about that for a second, because have you come to the conclusion, Steve, as I have, that they've got to have a way to, I think they just blast that at you.
I'm still not sure, because I mean, as it was there, bang, and then quick as it was there, it disappeared. So I don't know if it walked away and the smell went with it. And I don't know, but that was the most eeriest thing of it all. Was smell was there and then it was gone.
I did a really super goofy test at a piece of property that we were researching. I was with the owner, and I said, and the guy's a singer, and I just said, hey, what the hell gets to lose? We're out tromping through the woods. Why don't you belt out a tune, just see what happens? Sing. And don't yell like a Bigfoot. Don't do that. Just sing. See what happens. So he did. He said, yeah, sure, okay. So he starts singing. Just like that, we all got, there was like 5 of us together, and we got blasted with the stink. Not when he was singing, when he quit singing.
Not a very strong endorsement of his singing.
No. It happened after he stopped, Steve.
No.
So the singing stopped, then we got blasted. Not when he started. So we walked a quarter mile, half a mile away. He started to do it again. So he starts singing. Everything's great. Great. He's just keep it going. Just keep singing. Okay, stop. He stopped. Bam! We got hit with this stink. everybody smelled it. It was just horrible. So that, once again, you can't make conclusions off a one-time deal. And that was really
I got to ask this. What was he singing?
I don't freaking remember. I have no idea.
Like folksy? Was it an
Yeah, it wasn't. Okay. Yeah, of course. It was more of a pleasant song.
Okay, because I'd be concerned. I'd be concerned if he was like singing Ave Maria in the middle of the forest, and the Squatches were actually enjoying that.
No, it wasn't operatic. It was just kind of. I would put it in the folk music category. I don't remember. I think we may have got footage of it. I don't remember. But the fact that we repeated that 4 times, and every time when the singing stopped, no matter where we were, and we'd walk like a mile, in between these spots, bam, we'd get hit with it just instantly when he stopped singing.
And Kaiju Ninja 1985, so do you think the smell of something they released, like a skunk, or is it just body odor?
I don't know. I think
that is the $1 million question. Yeah, that is the $1 million.
Released. Yeah, and I don't think the smell sticks to them at all. I don't know what it is. I don't know. I mean, it's just all I did was, the dumb experiment was very dumb. It was very interesting, but it was very dumb. It wasn't scientific, and I don't know what they're doing. But once again, I'm putting it out there so other people can try it.
Yeah.
That's why I'm throwing it out there. See what happens.
Think outside the box, exactly.
Yeah. Be awesome if somebody else goes, dang it, same thing happened to us, and have a witness with you. It doesn't hurt anything.
So let me address the our resident tough guy. Best I can say is Raptor Crazy. So Doug is planning to catch Bigfoot to get this white substance from Bigfoot under their arm. So we don't even know if Bigfoot.
Don't need to catch one.
Yep. He doesn't. We don't even know if Bigfoot does the same thing. I think he's listening to too many stories. But if
first off, let's
not do nothing.
Stories. We have tons and tons of photos.
Right.
So they're not stories. We have 4K video captured of, with camera people, of collecting through these very complex prints and collecting the samples. So no, we don't know what they came off of because we didn't witness the actual thing. For all we know, they come off of some other animal. But sure looks like a human hand or a human type face or a human, you know what I mean? We don't know for sure. No, we don't. But just hang on, Steve. But if you think that we shouldn't do the test for the fact that we may come up with something that's really the wrong thing. It says Doug has a plan to catch a big. No, we don't have any plans to catch a Bigfoot. So there you go. Yes.
And like I would say is, so okay, what are we supposed to do? Stick our heads in the sand? This is the kind of outside the box thinking that needs to be done.
Yeah, we shouldn't ignore the problem.
Right.
So Raptor Crazy's here because this mystery is ongoing, right? Yep. Well, it's ongoing because he keeps getting fueled by new reports, new sightings, new evidence. It's not going to go away. So if you want it to go away, the mystery, and I would like some of the mystery to go away, we have to do things. And so these things are all very reasonable to do. Testing sebum is pretty reasonable. Somebody's already tested chimps, gorillas, orangutans. Right. Humans, and so now we just want to add to that chart.
Basis of comparison, they're already available.
Yep.
And Sharon asks, is it possible the females release the smell when they are in season?
We don't know. Don't know. Be nice to know, but we don't. Well, it's good. It's good to think of these theories, and and
I don't know how that smell would attract anything.
Nice.
Well, and then, if we could reproduce it, as a way of drawing in male Sasquatches, I'm not sure who we could get to wear it either.
Yeah, well, I had the idea to create those pheromone ships that some people have used for the last, it's got to be almost 20 years now. And that was, I was supposed to go on the Skookum expedition. My son decided to get engaged and set the wedding right during that expedition, so I couldn't go. So I called Greg Bambenek, Dr. Greg Bambenek up, It's a friend of mine I've known for many years, and said, Greg, I remember you did some kind of pheromone study back in the 60s or whatever. And he goes, yeah. And I go, so here's the deal. One, I want you to go to this to the Skookum Meadows in my place to represent me. And two, I wonder if you could make half human and half gorilla sexual pheromones based on the vaginal enzymes. And he said, you know what? I think I have those ingredients in my basement. And I said, you are one sick dude. And he did. He actually had the enzymes for gorillas and human females in his basement. And then he brewed this stuff, embedded in the chip. And as you know, the first time that chip was used, we got the Skookum cast, Skookum body cast.
Yeah.
So was it because of the apples?
Was that the episode with Kathy Strain and the other girls?
No. It was actually, I wasn't even involved in Bigfoot TV then.
Okay.
It was right before I was starting to film Legend Meets Science. It was the BBC came out and did a thing for a show called Animal X. And I was just supposed to be one of the participants, one of the people they were going to film.
Yeah, I think Rick Knoll was there.
Rick Knoll. Yep.
Dr. Leroy Fish was there.
Greg.
Yep. Dr. Greg Bennett.
Matt Moneymaker, Derek Randalls. Got all sorts of people. But the point was, there was a pheromone chip hanging above the apples on that tree. So was it attracted to the apples in the middle of the puddle? Or was it attracted to the pheromone chip? I will never know. But it was still, once again, you don't know if this stuff works, but why not try it? What do you have to lose? Nothing.
Right.
Yes, Mick, I know I'm just having a little fun with a little joke there. Now I lost it, but Kevin Harder asked, where's Kevin Harder's last comment? I don't want to mess it up. There it is. Nope.
A lot of deer hunters use scent to bring in bucks, and
all trappers, all trappers do. All hunters that are successful utilize scents.
So Kevin Harder asked, Professor, the good professor asked, can you really get nuclear DNA from sebum?
Yes, in fact, I can get nuclear DNA from 50-year-old sebum.
Wow!
I need 3 skin cells, and I can get a full sequence. I'm working with a DNA company that right now is solving crime after crime. They're getting convictions based on very old cold cases. I'll tell you a recent story. A woman or a girl is in the car with her boyfriend I think it's down in Texas. And somebody came up to the car and pistol whipped the guy. The girl's gone. He wakes up and the girl's gone. They never find her.
I remember this case.
He gets accused and he gets off, but everybody hates him, because he's accused in people's minds that he was guilty of killing his girlfriend and she was missing.
Yeah, they found her. I believe they found her body in a culvert. In a culvert pipe underneath.
Right, they recovered that. Right. But here's where it gets good, Steve. They saved her bra all these years. Her bra was just in an envelope, saved. This company I'm working with took a few skin cells found in that bra that were 50 years old and got the sequence, found the relatives, went to the relatives and said, you got a crazy uncle that could possibly maybe kill somebody? And they said, yeah, go, They went over there and they got a full confession.
Wow, they solved it. Jeez.
Solved it, got a confession and a conviction. So that's where DNA is coming. It's getting better and better and better and cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. So it should be interesting.
Yep, maybe soon we'll be able to order a eDNA machine off Wish.
It'll be on Amazon. You'll buy it. Hey, I remember when inkjet printers and laser printers were $5,000. And, I remember those days well because I remember paying about $5,000 for one time. I remember when hard drives for a gigabyte were $5,000 for 1 gigabyte. When I was back doing Mysterious Encounters, I paid $5,000 for a 1 gigabyte hard drive. And now you can get 30 gigabytes on a little thumb drive for a few bucks.
Yeah. So I know Raptors listening. Okay, you can disagree, but don't try to tank the show. Because if you try to tank the show, you'll be not being able to talk here anymore. Simple as that. Last warning.
Interesting. It always ceases to amaze me. People that will take the time out of their life, we only have a very short time, to listen to a show and not buy into the topic at all. Well, either enjoy the topic or you don't enjoy it.
It seems like more consistently he's not enjoying the topic and putting up. So I'm almost wondering if he's really just a skeptic in here trying to get everybody to raise to the bait.
Probably.
Well, if he's a skeptic, well, you should be out in the field trying to disprove the topic. You should be doing your own scientific tests and raising your own money and doing things and filming things and trying to disprove it, because that would actually aid to the research.
And you know what? I can be the most cynical son of a bitch in the world, and everybody knows that. And I can be really hard on evidence. I am bringing you Doug because he is coming up with some ways to think outside the box, more so than the blonde-haired woman from Texas. So,
Nick failed his DNA test.
Yeah, well, like I said, even if, no matter what, the DNA is so much better now. Plus, the gen banks have grown astronomical since then. I mean, literally exponentially, 200-fold since those days. So that's going to help. And wouldn't it be really cool to get the lineage of this thing and, all the data that drops to the bottom? Now, we're not just going to go, well, it kind of came out human, but all this stuff don't match. So we're just going to say it was like human. No. We got to dig through the whole DNA, all of it. So $250,000, that 10 years ago, now it's $5,000. Still a lot of money, $5,000. I don't think any of us have $5,000 you want to dump in the garbage, doing the DNA test on a bear hair, but it's still a far cry from $250,000.
But I know some people that have dropped $5,000 on FLIR equipment and night vision equipment.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
So $5,000 is a lot more achievable than, $250,000. That's the price of a house.
Yeah, it's really nuts. But and we may fail in everything. I have to be honest. We may fail in every last area. But I have so many hairs and so many things that I've vetted, and things that we have already filmed in the can of collecting the sebum and the beautiful. We have a beautiful face print, for instance. Got it pretty fresh. Filmed everything very carefully being done. Got the print lifted. So we have the latent details of it. We're going to try to even reconstruct that face print in 3D.
Oh, that'll be
nice.
Cool. We're going to get the right.
Oh, yeah. They can do that now. Yeah.
So it's a lot of really interesting stuff. And, I think about the forensics, and we're going to be doing some morphology things that are brand new too, with hair, things that people aren't aware of. There's morphology differences that we're going to bring up, educate people. It'll be a lot of really great, deep education, all kind of in one place for people. So when you want to get somebody at least kind of up to speed on the topic, this will be the DVD or the Vimeo show to show them. This is going to be the one that'll really bring Uncle Larry up to speed, because he goes, God, he said, just couldn't be possibly. Well, watch this, and they'll, be an eye opener for him.
Well, there's my man Mike going. If we don't think outside the box, we will not find the answer. So true.
Yeah, and Mike is definitely. I remember Mike. Tell you a quick story, but Mike was the one. I was looking at hair, Bigfoot hair under UV light, And then Mike connected the last dot. He goes, did you ever try doing that? But now looking at it through your iPhone.
Yep.
And I went, no, I've never tried it. And he actually had to bug me for like a month, maybe 2 months, maybe longer. I don't remember.
I know what that's like.
But he was the one, because I just couldn't have, it sounds like I just have time on my hands, but I didn't have any time. But I finally did it. It was like, oh my God. So Mike, you're a genius. So, but it's that kind of thinking that will eventually lead, all this information isn't do anybody any good if it doesn't help connect the dots for Chris and for you, Steve, and for me. It all kind of just, it's a springboard deal. We're all springboarding off each other. And I just think we need kind of all boost, right now. And I think this show will do it, this film. So,
I'm very, Ecoacoustics be featured at all.
Ecoacoustics?
I don't know. What do you think, Doug?
On what? Which one?
Sorry.
The Legend Meet Science 2. He wants to know if I think Bigfoot Society means ecoacoustics.
I have no idea what he's talking about.
Ecoacoustics, I think that's the sounds of the forest and such, like different.
Maybe, yeah.
We have
sense too. Yeah.
Okay, we're sitting on 8,551 recordings.
Yeah.
Right now that are good recordings that you can do stuff with. They're clear and they're good. And so we are looking at specific things. One of the things we're going to accomplish is we're going to be able to teach everybody the math, how you can analyze your own dang audio, and you can do the math, and whether it's a Bigfoot or a human, because it appears at this point that humans cannot duplicate some of the fundamentals that are in these Bigfoot calls. But it's all math. It's all hertz and math, and there seems to be some double fundamentals, and it's quite interesting. So we're going to get quite deep into audio, so very deep into it. But we're going to keep it. But we're going to keep it so everybody can understand it.
Gotcha.
Sorry, Steve.
Oh no, not at all. So we have a ton of audio recordings, which I think is really awesome. Are you sitting on a lot of hair samples and a lot of the sebum samples as well?
Well, I wouldn't say a lot of anything, depending on what you mean by that.
Or a handful, by handful.
I've got lots of different sources of hair that I've vetted, meaning tapered end, human scaling, a strange medulla, smooth, missing, segmented, slightly more wispy, more flexible. These are the things I look for. Obviously, I can't do a DNA test at home, but I can weed out other animals, and I can, do the best job I can, and then vet them. And all we can do at this point is get them tested,
Now, the medulla in a potential Sasquatch, are you finding that they are segmented or missing?
Yes, and the majority of the stuff I'm looking at, and I question, like for instance, a black bear hair, it'll have like kind of a jagged medulla. Yeah, it's kind of like a record groove, it's a little more jagged as an example. And the Bigfoot's a great comparison is baby hair. If you could take obviously you get different hair lengths on a Sasquatch. They're going to have longer hair on the bottom of their arms than they are going to have necessarily on their kneecap, so everything's going to be different. But I tend to I try to go after the longer hairs, impress me more. They impress me more if they have a lighter pigmentation, like almost blonde, almost clear. So very light pigmentation, very much a naturally worn end, and a segmented or missing medulla. And that's really all there is. And it's people like Cindy Dosen. And this hasn't been, I'm not putting words in her mouth, but she brought up to me, and I don't think she's actually how would you say it? She hasn't done a scientific paper on it. But the Bigfoot hairs seem to have human scaling, but there's less scales around the diameter. Makes them more wispy, which is what I've noticed. They're more like a baby hair, that uncut baby hair. Plenty strong, plenty whatever, but very, very light. If you've ever had the luck of seeing a Bigfoot get windblown, which I have actually, to the side of a road once, man, that hair was just billowing. It was really amazing, the hair movement. So when me and Yvette watched this, we think it was drying off because there was a stream that emptied into Mille Lacs. It was standing at the side of the road. It was waving its arms back and forth, kind of in a hula motion. It was very windy that night, but very hot. And I think it was drying off before it headed back into the deep forest. And man, we could see the skin, we could see the long hair under the arms, but it was all just blowing in the wind. It just really struck us as, man, that's fluffy. Super lightweight and fluffy.
Now, I know that would probably create some nice aeration for the summer, for the hot summer days. But what would it do in the cold winter nights?
Well, I think thinner, you can pack more hair, Thicker
Gotcha.
hair, coarser hair is going to allow more air to get in. A thinner, finer hair. Why are babies born with such fine hair on their head? I don't know. My granddaughter was recently born, and man, she had a head of hair on her, but it was so soft, it was insane. Compared to her hair to my hair. My hair is coarse and gray.
I don't have any hair. I just have plenty of skin cells.
Yeah, there you go. I'll leave that alone. But I just know that all we can do is make inferences. We can test theories. And the inference is that a Bigfoot hair is more wispy, obviously has a tapered end because they don't go to the barber. And once you cut a hair, that's it. It's going to be cut forever. And they have an interesting medulla, It's either lighter, it's clear, it's segmented. And maybe if we can flesh Mike's idea out more, that may add to the research. It may also help us find Bigfoot hairs in the forest.
Well, Doug, do you think the Bigfoot hair, would it be fair to say that it has sort of a translucent quality to it?
Yes.
And would that be conducive to maybe reflecting the environment around it? I mean, not like a mirror, but if it's standing next to a green bush, would it, absorb some of that greenery?
Well, it works for the polar bear, eh? That's as far as I can talk about it because I don't really know. It makes sense. Yes. So you're doing what I call an inference based on what we know. And it just goes to show you that you take a bunch of I would just grab a bunch of fiber optic tubes. You can buy them on Amazon. Grab a bundle of fiber optic tubes, a good bundle of them, and just take them out in the woods and see what happens. It's never been done. You'd be the first to do it, Chris.
Okay, get right on that.
And then you can kind of see, well, what happens to is it picking up, the coloration in the bright sun or the shade or, I don't know.
Kaiju Ninja just apologized, saying sorry because he meant to write Doug, but he put an H on that stupid autocorrect.
Oh,
so
yeah.
You're known as Doe right now.
Yeah, Doe. All you need is the nuts after it. You got
it. Based on the evidence that you're collecting and testing, it is creating a certain narrative of what Sasquatch really is to you. Has it changed your opinion at all?
Not really. I think I'm dumber now than I ever was. I don't know. I know less now than when I first started.
Wow. Doesn't that make you feel even more confident?
Humble. No, yeah. But where I've gotten better is just kind of connecting dots for dumb experiments. Right? Or dumb things to try. I use the word dumb loosely, Well, I'm just goofing around, but I've gotten better at that, coming up with experiments and things to do. No, do I know anything more? we all kind of know what we know. We know they probably eat meat, right? Because it's a stable food source all winter. We know they have hair, right? We know they come in different colors. We know they probably eat berries, probably eat toads, insects, plants, probably omnivorous. Some probably migrate just to get at the food sources. We know they're big. We think we know they're big. We know that they're capable of vocalizing, probably, but we don't know for sure. We're never 100% on any of these, but we're we can infer that. We know they've probably been here a long time. But beyond that, I don't know. I mean, I hear a woo story from somebody. Who am I to put them down? I'm not raptor crazy going, oh, you're an idiot because you're telling me this woo story. I'm never going to ever question somebody that seems very sincere to me on what they saw or experienced. Better off just taking it in, put it in the back of your head. You don't have to believe it. Just don't not believe it. You know what I mean? Because you might get humbled yourself one day.
So my question is, what are your thoughts on the potential of a Sasquatch to use infrasound?
Big, only because, I think it's a great chance, only because I've heard so many stories, as I'm sure you have, Stephen.
Now, do you think, as I kind of thought, and the great Stan Courtney has also brought that up, who was very big into the late 90s and the early 2000s into recording, doing attempted recordings of Sasquatch. A very firm believer, and I am as well, that the infrasound could actually be the cause of some of the quote unquote woo type of sightings because of the side effects of that. I've also put forth too as well that post-traumatic regression is also part of how a Bigfoot may disappear.
Oh, absolutely.
And as well as them to, like, there it is, or maybe turn into an orb or something. It has to do with a lot of PTSD and trauma to it, because people who encounter these are not expecting that. They're not in their belief system, a lot of these people. And when they see one, their mind short circuits. And I think that's part of that. A lot of that has to play into the woo as well.
Well, what's interesting is infrasound can do some pretty interesting things. I was talking to a singer who I know pretty well, and he's got the lowest voice in the world. And he was telling me about a time, I think it was somewhere in Branson, Missouri, his voice brought down a light fixture in that low frequency range. So I think there's a lot in the low frequency range, and maybe a lot of, because think about it, there's volume, there's the low frequency, but there's also volume. And then there's what you do to the, there's volume and low frequency, but what if you're pulsing that low frequency? What if you're able to do with, let's say, you had 4 vocal cords? What if you're able to double up on it?
Yep.
So yeah, absolutely, your theory is as valid as any theory I've heard.
The other thing I find it really interesting is that the United States had an embassy in Cuba at one time, and they had to evacuate the Cuban embassy because they felt like they were a victim of some sort of either subsonic or sonic attack.
Right. Yes.
Which sounded to me, when they started talking about some of the side effects, first thing I said was, that sounds like infrasound.
Yeah, and it also sounds like it was did some permanent damage to those poor people.
Which I guess, a long-term exposure to infrasound may very well cause some long-term.
What if Bigfoots are able to really focus it like a parabolic mic at you? You know what I mean? So there's got to be, infrasound is omnidirectional.
Well, they got big feet and big hands and a big head, so I would assume they have a big mouth too.
Yeah. But the thing is, there's so many levels of infrasound and what could be done with it that we don't know what their capabilities. We've been investigating kind of a purring sound that sounds like basically like hummingbird wings that
with a vibration.
And I can say, well, you could say, well, Bigfoots couldn't possibly produce that. But when you start getting person after person coming forward, or we're finding tapes in the archives that match and they are associated with whoops and wood knocks and other things. And so we don't know what it's for. Is it an infrasonic blast? Is it just a moth that landed on the microphone? You know what I mean? We don't know anything yet. So but the point is we're open now. Our eyes are open. So we're looking for it. So that's part of the key, just open your eyes.
Yeah,
be aware
I think
of
you're
it.
right. You're right on it too, Doug, because I believe that they can direct. I believe that it's directional, that they can direct it a certain way when they do this infrasound or whatever it is they're doing. Because, they can hit you with it. They can.
Yeah, I've just heard so many reports. I mean, every time I bring it up, I'll have a new guy pipe in I'm in a meeting with and go, hey, that happened to me too back in 1984 when I was cutting wood and and all of a sudden I had this fear come over me and I had to leave. And I just hear it over and over and over and over and over and over. There's got to be something to it. It may not be, but it sure sounds like something to chase, right?
Right.
So we're going to be chasing it with a whole bunch of answers. Guaranteed at the very least, you're going to be, your eyes are going to be wide open at every possibility from that moment on after you watch our film on what infrasound is capable of doing. And it's just so cool to think that they maybe have that super ability where they can focus it. I don't know what you call it, Steve. I just say super abilities.
Yeah, I wouldn't even call it necessarily super. Because one thing I know when I wrote my last book, I had come to the end. That's what I love writing about books, because as I write, I research even more and deeper, and it gives me more ideas to keep on pressing further.
Right.
And it's very interesting, especially with mammals, that it seems like the largest of each family has the ability almost to use infrasound. The elephants, which have ancestors, are able to use infrasound. The biggest cats, lions and tigers, can use infrasound. The wolf can use infrasound. It's the biggest canine.
Yeah, it's the big ones.
The biggest whale, the blue whale, uses infrasound actually to communicate miles, many, many miles, hundreds of miles to other blue whales using infrasound, but it's the only whale that uses infrasound, being the biggest one. So what would Sasquatch be? Well, it would be the biggest primate, that's for sure.
And Steve, how far can that blue whale's infrasound carry?
Oh, they were talking about, 100 miles at least.
I read one report that said it was like possible, maybe, it wasn't confirmed, but it was like thousands of miles. I was like, ooh.
Well, blue whale's a big animal, so probably, but when the thought of that alone is like, well, it's definitely well within the realm of science for if a Sasquatch exists to use infrasound, because it is the biggest of its family amongst the the primate family. Yeah. So, and the other thing too is people don't know, the effects of infrasound. The very first Paranormal Activity movie, the director had the wherewithal, because people thought that movie was scary as anything, and then went to home video, and a lot of people were like, yeah, it was okay, it wasn't scary. But with the theater systems in the movie theaters, what the director did was he added a layer of infrasound to the movie track, so anytime something scary would happen, you would hear, and if you listen to the home video, you hear it as like a
okay, stop. Do that again. Do that again. That's the exact sound. You did a really good job on that. That's kind of the sound that we're talking about. This, for lack of a better word, we're calling it the Bigfoot purr. For lack of a better word. If you want to hear it and hear an example of it, go to Untold Radio and just go to the playlist on the under home, and it's like third or fourth show. It says Bigfoot purr, and you can hear it. It's kind of interesting.
So people in the theaters were scared the heck out of about this movie.
Yeah.
But when I went to home theater, but not so many people, some people like, okay, some people who had theater systems said it was pretty scary. But the infrasound on the superior theater systems, and infrasound was carrying over and affecting people to be scared and like, oh, this is creepy. And, I don't know what levels or to what degree he used it.
Yeah.
But it definitely caused the desired effect.
Yeah. It's really interesting. And I do want to give credit to Caillou Ninja 1985. He needs a new handle. And he was the one that recorded the sequence and had the first thing that got my light bulbs to go off on this purring sound. And it was Caillou, Tristan.
Yes. Yeah.
So thanks, Tristan. Yeah, it's hoping some good stuff comes out of that.
Yeah, Tristan is an awesome audience member. He's always right in the mix of conversation here with some really great call outs.
Great comments. Yeah, good questions. And that's so yeah, no, he's awesome.
We are so lucky and privileged to have the greatest audience of any show ever.
You do have a nice audience.
I love these guys.
You do have a nice audience.
And even though I think Raptor left, Raptor every once in a while does ask a really good question.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's been in our chat too, and he's done the same. He asked some good questions. So I think sometimes people get an attitude when they're doing something, they're maybe having too many beers, or maybe they're not. Some people can get a little crabby or have a bad day. It could be all sorts of things. But we're not, we're here to learn. That's all I want to do is learn.
Right.
And I hate when I get comments that basically go, "You're an idiot for trying to learn." It's like, dude, this is what we're here on Earth for. Right. We're not here to make scrap aluminum pop cans. We're not here to make trash. That's not why we're here.
The late, great John Bindernagel used to say, I don't understand why science is not looking at this. And to take that kind of attitude would mean, well, we just ought not to go there because of what? Why? Why? Because you're doubting the veracity. Oh, there he is. He's back. No, Raptor. I'm not going to get into an argument with you. I blocked you because you were trying to tank the show by talking to the audience and making a slanderous comment about our guest. That's why. Now rethink that and act with a little decorum. Act with decorum.
Happy to answer intelligent questions.
Yeah.
Very happy. Can be as skeptical as they want to be.
Doug is taking time out of his busy schedule to come here with us and answer some questions and have a discussion about Sasquatch. So let's please be respectful of that and thankful.
Do Sasquatch whistle while humming?
Well, apparently they can hum or purr, whatever you want to call it. I like hum better. Apparently they can eat when they're humming. So if they can eat when they're humming, they could probably whistle when they're humming. So that's a great comment or question.
That would make it even more. To me, that actually seems more in the ballpark that they can use infrasound. If they can do something else at the same time producing this other noise.
Right. Well, we all, even humans, had this air sac that's now kind of shrunk up and we don't utilize it anymore. But it's, theorized that Bigfoots have this big air sac that they can utilize to do whistling with while they're doing something else, or make infrasound with while they're doing something else. And so it would be that air sac that would allow this. Plus, we don't know about their they could be doing magical things with their vocal cords and their vocal their folds. There's a thing called the fold that you can do. You can create sounds with. If you've ever heard the throat singing, look up throat singing if you haven't had the pleasure of listening to it. But that's kind of a dual fundamental going on. They're using their throat to vibrate, and they're using their vocal cords. You're getting a kind of that dual fundamentals.
Yeah.
It sounds weird, but I'm there's enough evidence that we should at least explore that Bigfoots can do a similar thing. And you wonder, is it possible that these monks and the Inuit that started throat singing didn't hear it first from a Sasquatch, and they were imitating what they heard from a Sasquatch? Because remember, back then everybody was slept outside. We're all living in the forest.
Yeah,
and it's possible they were mimicking that. This has been handed down, mimicking the Sasquatch throat singing.
That's
because it all originated in the northern forested latitudes of the whole world. So it's interesting.
Wow. Finding the trackway says, no, Tactor. Oh, he's getting Alfred to give Mike some hairs. Okay. Oh, okay. I think Steve's handling something over there. But I think you make a great point, Doug, that we're all here to learn.
Yeah,
and,
that's
the only stupid question is one that's not asked.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Oh, I don't mind. I like answering any question. I just hate when people start out the question, "You're an idiot." So now why are you asking the question?
It all goes downhill
or accusing somebody of just whatever.
Exactly.
You don't accuse people and then try to get their cooperation. But
have you thought of a lot of or different filming any specific filming locations you're going to be doing on Legend Meets Science 2?
Well, I can only talk in generalities. Yes, we're going to be filming over across the whole country, except guaranteed we're not going into Iowa. Certain areas we're not, because there's very few, it's just not much going on. But we will be traveling all over, and at least, we'll be hitting up experts and colleges, and, there's a lot of new scientists. I talked to 2 this week, brand new, that are now interested in the topic. They've contacted me and said, "Hey, I want to be involved. I'm interested in this, and I think this is a real thing." But they've just never had the guts to come forward.
Yeah.
So a lot more of that going on now. A lot more.
Well, I think as the subject improves and is more widely accepted, I think we'll have more actually mainstream scientists that jump into this, because they can see there's maybe something here that would be well worth looking at.
Well, the Wall Street Journal just did a article on ZooBook, and you've heard of ZooBook, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But that's a group of scientists that get together every other Thursday to just discuss the Bigfoot topic anonymously. Well, the Wall Street Journal, that really got their attention. We all just got a big article in the Wall Street Journal, and it was positive. There was nothing negative about it.
Yeah.
And they're now looking, the Wall Street Journal is now paying attention to this mystery. So I guarantee Legend Meets Science starts, they'll probably, have an interest in it. And that's kind of how the whole UAP thing got elevated too. It's just some decent journalists, doing a decent job and not laughing at it, the topic.
So Mike asked Doug, what's the next big tech we should be looking to use in the field?
Plexiglass and Velcro. That's the big tech. I literally think that's the best thing you can do. I really think, and I tell people this, God, I hammer this home. Get yourself a motorcycle dash cam system. Do not install it on your motorcycle. It comes with 2 little micro cameras. They're waterproof. Okay, what more would you want? You get extra cord. This cord is thin. As soon as it gets power, literally USB power, 5.4 volts. You can get a little power supply to power it on Amazon for $4.
Yeah,
it'll power it all night. You plug it in. The whole thing turns on and starts recording audio and video out of 2 cameras that are just tiny, and they're on a long cord. What does that mean? You can hide these things. You can really hide them. You can bury them. You can put them in a potato chip sack and put it on the picnic table at your campsite. You can stick it in a beer can, drill a hole in a tree trunk. You can poke holes in your tent and run the cameras out your tent.
Fake rocks.
And now, and you can bring a heavy black blanket to throw over your head. So then you can see the monitor and watch the monitor. You hear something outside. Now you don't have to have guts to unzip the zipper and go outside, because you'll get dragged away, hauled up a tree and 80 miles away. So now you can just stay in the safety of your sleeping bag, and you can just look at the monitor and see those big eyes staring at you. Yeah, you'll crap your pants, but you'll have it on tape. See?
I don't know, Doug. I never really felt safe in a tent anyway. You just poke on the side there. That's all between you and anything on the other side of it.
No, I know tents are not safe, but for some reason, these things, once again, I hear stories all the time, over and over and over, and I've recorded this and I've experienced it. They seem to get you out of your tent.
Right.
And I worry about that because my son just camped in a spot where all they found was his wallet. He goes camping there, and he has rocks thrown at his tent all night. And maybe that guy got out of the tent. That's scary.
Sorry, I during the last comment, I had to get Mike. Got him in the chat real good. I'll probably get a call after the show.
That's just wrong, Steve. I agree, mate.
Good Lord, that's so funny. I forgot what I was going to say. Probably nothing important. There was a question, actually. There was, let me scroll up. There it is.
Joe.
Oh, that's... Chessboard saying about the collecting of eDNA from the air. The E for eDNA is environmental. So
DNA. I guess if they sneezed on you, remember not long ago we were all wearing these mask things,
Oh, my mic was muted. Well, I collected from the air when you can leave a piece of something, plexiglass, or leave your car parked in your campsite, and when you see those big handprints on your car, collect them. You don't have to worry about eDNA and air DNA.
How about a mirror?
Ooh. Yeah, you know what's really interesting about mirrors? It has not been tried much. People should be mounting little shaving mirrors like on their camera traps by the cameras. Just to
great
try
idea.
It.
Yeah.
What's it going to do?
I watched some videos on YouTube. I believe
primates have self-recognition.
They had a large mirror out in the woods, and they had a large male gorilla, and he would walk up to the thing.
That's different. That's different than what I was talking about.
Yeah.
But yes, I did see that. I've seen it many times where the gorilla, actually sees itself, and like the bear sees itself, and it then looks around the backside looking for it's puzzled.
Yeah.
Whereas the gorillas do the same thing. It's quite interesting.
Bears, not so much.
It hasn't been tried.
I've seen the mirror experiment, and they did chimpanzees and gorillas, and they tried some other. They tried a lion and a tiger, and they just kind of looked at it and hissed at it, basically growled at it. But the bear, pardon the pun, went ape shit all over the mirror because it saw another bear.
Oh,
it was not happy.
Yeah. So, it's just all these things are really cool, and everything is going to get cheaper and better. And, I'm probably going to pay. I'm going to be sorry I paid the prices for all these tests, because probably within a year from now they'll be half the price again. You know, all these DNA and forensic things. But
we can hope.
We can hope they will be. It's guaranteed. The technology is growing exponentially, and especially with artificial intelligence now. God knows how that is going to be applied to the Bigfoot mystery. Because this thing should be able to take, you know, we're planning on, no doubt, inputting all of the sighting data. We got 10,000 sightings with GPS data almost done and in a database. Put that in GPS for it and start asking it questions.
Oh, God.
Where's the most likely place and what time of year and what moon and what temperature and blah, blah, blah are we going to, run into a...
What time of year, what time, temperature,
input all the data we have on all the sightings and stuff. Yes. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
I may be able to get that done for this doc.
Oh, wow.
I've had conversations. You know, they were a ways back during one of my fall starts. It was like a year ago or so. But I'm going to re-bring that conversation up. I don't see why we can't download what we have already in Chat GPT-4 and start asking it the right prompts and see what information we get. If nothing else, we'll teach everybody how to do it.
That would be so cool. You could ask it where would be the best opportunity for me to see a Bigfoot, or a Sasquatch.
Yep.
Okay, show up here at this location at 4 p.m. Thursday.
Yep.
Right.
It could be that crazy.
Right.
You want to hear something scary about ChatGPT? I downloaded it and asked, "Who am I?" I said, "Who's Steve Kulls?" And without missing a hiccup, it came back and said, "Steve Kulls is a cryptozoologist and private investigator, blah, 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 based out of New York State." He is a founder of Squatchdetective.com.
And it took under 2 seconds.
Yeah, it was like, bang. I'm like,
well, it knows me. Then what you should have done next is say, where's the best place Steve Kulls can have an encounter in New York?
Well, I already know that. It's the Whitehall area.
Well, yeah.
That's kind of.
I had some kind of weird encounter in Whitehall. Actually, 2 of them in Whitehall myself. So we had our trailers slapped, and 3 in the morning, and then I was out with Brian Goslin, one of the cops, who originally started some of this craze. He was with, and we were in an all-terrain vehicle way back in the swamps at 1, 2 in the morning, and we were playing baby crying sounds, and then we were playing a certain coyote calls, and we got a chest beat, boom, 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 really far away. So we waited a little while, we played it again, now we get a chest beat about half as close again, so it's closer. We wait a little while, we do it again. Now it's getting really close. It's like, gorilla chest beating. Then we did it again, and it was right by our UTV. And literally, one of the guys that was with us, literally, was like almost crying. Say, we need to go. He was. I don't blame him. He was scared. It was because we didn't have any flashlights on. Pitch dark. We're in a swamp in this amphibious vehicle. And there was no way to get out of there quick, I can tell you, And I think that scared everybody, including Brian. We all got a little scared on that one.
Yeah, that would be nerve-wracking.
Yeah. I think that's a hot spot, Steve. I agree.
Yeah. Well, I've had my sightings were actually about 12 miles southeast of Whitehall in the Adirondack State Park on the east side of Lake George. And what I think is going on there, if you're familiar with that area, I think the reason why Whitehall is such a hotbed is because that's between the Adirondack State Forest and the Green Mountains.
Yeah.
And I think you're getting a lot of back and forth between, and what's going on in Whitehall is that traveling.
A corridor area.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. It just... That whole state park is phenomenal.
You know where I get confused in the whole Whitehall thing was what really went down with the police that night. You know,
well,
I just keep hearing several different takes on what went down. I believe everything I've heard, but I just wonder what we haven't heard.
Well, you know, I have that one article that says, you know, a creature spotted in Whitehall, New York, or a creature spotted in Whitehall came out of the nearby city of Glens Falls, the Glens Falls Post-Star. And the article, I can almost quote it from memory. It said that, you know, three agencies were there, the Whitehall Police, the Washington County Sheriff's, and New York State Police could only spot the creature from a distance as it walked into the woods. Yeah. I mean, what more do you need? You had 3 police agencies actually see it walk into the woods.
Oh yeah. There were several cases. And I gave one of them a lie detector test.
That was Dan Gordon.
And that test, he saw the creature walking, but when Dan told me it was all emaciated, he said he could see the backbone. He said the thing was really emaciated, and then went down that ravine. And you know, I don't even remember. Did he follow it, Steve, or did he? He
started to.
He started
and then he stopped, and he's because he could hear it moving there, and he said, "What the hell am I doing?" His partner sat in the car, and he got in the car, and he turned to his partner and said, "Boy, that was some bear, wasn't it?" And his partner turned to him and said, "You know that was no bear." And I remember sitting at a table with Brian Goslin and Dan Gordon, God rest his soul.
Yes.
Dan told his story really to us for the first time. He had just come out because originally he was always this anonymous person.
Right. Yeah. He didn't want to go on film and tell that story.
Yeah, but he had a heart attack, and that scared him, so he wanted to get his story on record. And after he told his encounter, he was sitting next to Brian. He turns and looks at Brian, and he goes, "In all those years, I thought you were crazy," which was a priceless moment. Priceless moment.
Yeah.
But Dan went to his grave. I mean, he would get emotional over telling the story.
Oh God, yeah. Then, we gave him that lie detector test. He agreed to do it, and he passed with flying colors.
Yep. And so did Sue Ross, who was the woman who had the sighting with the when she was a kid. And I always talk about to people about the importance of interviewing secondary witnesses. So they may not have seen something, but they were witnesses to what the person's behavior was when they came back. And, Sue had said, "Hey, I went home, I told my mom," and we sat down and talked to her mom, and her mom's like, "Yeah, this happened. This is what she said. This is what happens." And it's so important. I tell people that are into the research to always, if they say, "Well, I came home, I told my wife, and, she thinks I'm nuts," talk to the wife. Well, what did he say? Well, he said, that corroborates the story, and it also saves a lot of problems too. If somebody says, "I don't know what the hell you're talking about." Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Yeah. No,
but I am home. And by the way, there are big hairy people out in the woods.
Yep.
Patrick Collins, who I know well, says, "I saw my Squatch about 40 miles south of Whitehall in Wilton, New York. It's crazy."
Well, I wouldn't say it's necessarily about 40. Well, give or take, it's about 30 miles.
Oh, by the way, Steve, I was supposed to ask you about Pat's sighting. I want to hear about it. You're supposed to tell me about it.
I'm supposed to tell you about it.
Yeah.
Where is he?
He won't. He's in your chat, but he won't tell me. So you need to tell me.
Okay. So he was driving home from work.
Okay.
And there was one tootling across the road. He said it kind of walked upright, was long and shaggy, kind of looked like a hippie, almost kind of walked. And he described it what I would say as emaciated a bit as well.
Really?
Not necessarily seeing bones, but just looked really ragged.
Okay, well let's back up. This wasn't by any chance the same year Dan Gordon
No, this was 20. Yeah, this was in the late 2000s.
Oh, okay.
The funny thing is, he said there was another woman who was stopped, and I know the area. She was stopped at a stop sign who saw it as well. And he didn't think to stop and talk to her. He just kept, he was like, oh my God. The area that it had walked into, I mean, the area it came from at the time was underdeveloped. It wasn't developed like it is today. And it walked into an area which would lead directly up a place called Lincoln Mountain. And there's a little brook called the Snookkill Creek that comes down. It's not, creek is a very minimal, I mean, it's more like a stream. So that's the area Mike and I went to check out one night, and we did a live podcast on. And that's where something was moving around quite large in the woods that, again, I blew it off as, well, it could be anything. It could be a bear. It could be even a moose, because there have been moose sighted near Wilton every once in a great while. They wander over there. At one point, he gets something on his thermal real quick, but he loses it. And as soon as he loses it, we hear this wood knock.
Okay.
And there's nobody in the area, and we did not provoke the wood knock. We didn't make any audibles that night at all. The only thing we did, we were just walking down the hill.
Okay.
So we had that one single wood knock. Mind you, the temperature was, I think, about 48, 49 degrees. So when you get colder weather, trees will expand and contract, and they will actually make that tree knocking noise. I know I walked out and when it's 22 degrees out and heard that same exact sound in my front yard of my old place, right off to my right. And
it just would have been funny, Steve, had there been a Bigfoot hiding behind that tree.
Yeah, yeah. Hey,
I'm just
how you doing? Good to see you. Anyway, so we walk down a little bit more and we start talking about the mics that Mike has in his backpack. And then out of nowhere, a rock. And of course, we were standing on rock, so you could hear the rock hitting the rock as it came down. We could hear it coming down. And we actually got that on the recording, that you could hear it coming through the leaves and then hitting the ground.
Yeah.
And it was a few feet from me. And Pat Collins always laughs at me and says, yeah, he gets a rock thrown at him, and what does he do? He laughs. Yeah. You know, I would have been scared shitless, but you laugh. Comes with the territory, I guess.
Well, you know, you keep waiting for this stuff to happen, and then when it happens,
yeah.
Exactly.
So, you know, did we see anything that night? No. Did we hear anything else that night? No. After that, things went quiet, but something was definitely being a little bit aggressive back there, so to speak. And we went back, I think, 2 or 3 weeks later, did another live podcast from there. And really nothing happened that night. But we did see some evidence that people had been there after we were a few weeks earlier. So. Pete H asked, do you think they're making the knocking noise with a branch or with their mouth?
I don't know. I think it's I've gotten returns too quick to think they were carrying a stick or a log. So I kind of lean towards their mouth. Some of the time.
And the other thing too is, my wife did find during the day before we went up there for the podcast. During the day, my wife was walking around, look, and she found what appeared to be a footprint. So we cast it.
Yeah.
Not any great. The cast didn't really take us. It was really wet. You know, it's kind of funny because the area is very rocky, and it just had managed to, whatever it was, that came down right in that muddy area. But there was really nothing before or after that because it was all hard surface or grass. So, you know, was it a footprint? I give it about a 60-40 it was. So.
Interesting. Have you had a sighting, Steve? I don't even remember.
I've had 2.
You've had two, okay.
And that was after the MonsterQuest. I did the MonsterQuest in 2008.
Right.
And it was 2011 I had my first sighting. And actually, it was the same area we did the MonsterQuest in. We did the expedition stuff out there.
Yeah.
Except it was in a different part. It was a little bit more to the south than to the north of where we were. It was more to it was more to the south of where we were. So I don't get confused. And that was just a night that the team was out. And we were out for a few hours. Everybody was hearing stuff, shuffling around, moving around. We got everybody in. And we were all talking about things. In fact, there's some video shot of us all talking before eventually the camera shut off. We start eating, again, we're all having a couple of good laughs because that's who we are. And then I'm like, well, all right, we've been here for about 35 minutes. I'm going to go get some batteries for my headlamp out of my car. And, I'll get back, get everybody rallied, and we'll go. We'll have a nice hour break. So I walk out to my car very quietly while everybody is at the campfire. Now, mind you, this is mid-October. All the leaves have dropped. I walk out to my car, grab my batteries. I light up a smoke, shine my flashlight to the north side, which is downhill, which is the area that, in the years past, most of the activity has occurred. I turn around, I shoot it up the hill to the south. And there was one standing there right next to a utility pole watching the camp, which is I could see the campfire through the brush because the leaves were dropped. And as soon as I put the light on it turned towards me, and then it kind of looked behind it for a second and looked back towards me. I didn't move. I just froze. And I could see the eyes just blinking. And they were reddish orange. They were not quite red, but they were not quite orange. They were more darker or dark orange maybe. And after so many period of time, I'd say maybe 40 seconds. I don't know exactly because I wasn't timing it. I just shook the flashlight a little bit and it turned and it walked into the tree line. I immediately get on my radio, call out my first team. The video guy comes out. We're starting to try to measure. While that's going on, the base camp radio is yelling, hey, we got movement to the southwest of going around the southwest of us, which is where it was walked into. So they could hear it moving around the camp now, going back deeper into the forest. And, one of the guys on my team was a former Marine sniper, and he actually found the scuff where it had stepped into the forest, because he could still see dirt coming down. Even the videographer that I had, who was a skeptic, goes, that looks fresh. And you could still see dirt coming down on it. So that was number one. About a year later, same time of year, I was shooting for NatGeo's Paranatural, a Sasquatch Planet, which eventually got converted to Monsters and Mysteries Unsolved for North America. And we had come from Chautauqua Lake, which is clear on the other side of the state, because we were at a conference there. And this was 2012. So Bob Gimel was actually at that conference. And we came back there. It was like an 8-hour drive with stops and everything back up to the mountain. NatGeo came in. We're like, listen, we're not going out tonight. We're beat. It has been raining all day. We're set up camp. It's been miserable. All night long, we're collecting birch. Or all day long, we're collecting birch, because birch, wet or not, will burn, because once that oil in the bark gets heated, it goes up like gasoline, wet or not.
Yeah.
So we were collecting a lot of birch, set up camp. We were beat. And they came in, they did a few quick interviews, and after about an hour or so, they were gone. So now it's 8, 9 o'clock at night. We're all sitting around the fire talking. And there was a gentleman from Georgia. There was a couple from Ohio, all Bigfoot researchers. And we're all sitting around the camp talking. So there's just the four of us. And the wife of the gentleman, Melissa, she goes to bed first. And then Jeff, the guy from Georgia, goes to his Jeep, who had a pillow and blanket in the Jeep because it had been raining. And he says, I'm not sure. First time I'm using the tent, I don't want to, if my tent leaks, I don't want a wet pillow and blanket. I'll just sleep in my truck. So he grabs his pillow and blanket and he goes to bed. And then eventually Wayne and I go to bed. So about an hour and a half later or so, nature calls for me. So I got to use a tree. So I unzip the tent. I start to climb out, and as I look, now mind you, yes, it was cloudy, but it was a full moon. So things had kind of like a nightlight glow to them. The clouds were just illuminated and everything. I go to step out. I look to my left, and there is a 5.5 foot one. Just takes off, runs. And my first reaction to it was like, nah, couldn't be. Just couldn't be. Used the tree, went back to bed. Next morning, I'm awakened by the guy from Georgia who had his pillow and blanket in the Jeep that he brought back. He was grabbing his pillow and blanket to put it back in the Jeep, and there was something had placed a birch log behind his Jeep. And that's when I said, well, I'll tell you something strange. So our thought was it must have been watching us all day long, collecting all this birch. And then decided to go, here's one. So I don't know. Weird. Very weird. And then that night something did slap the hood of one of the cars.
No, there you go.
They're just trying to help you out. Here's some firewood, bud.
I think he slapped the hood of the car because he was looking for a tip.
Is that area, Steve, where you had your sighting, has it been logged at one point 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago?
There's logging nearby, maybe 7 miles to the south, 7 miles to the south of it.
Okay.
5 miles to the south of it. As you go up the road to the mountain and to that part of the park, there is some private land, and some of it is being logged, but not in any major way. You know, there's some developments and, you know, some new houses that sprout up every once in a while, but nothing like a logging operation would be per se, like in Oregon or
no, but
California.
Was the area logged that you actually had your sighting in at one point, or were the old growth trees that had been logged in hundreds of years, or you know, what type of?
I'm not sure of how far the history goes back, but what I do know that this has been state preserved since, you know, I believe in the early 1900s. Yeah. So this has always been state land up that way. And there was a resort at the end of it. So this area actually was, and there was other camps going up to the hill. There was a Boy Scout camp. There's a Girl Scout camp, you know, miles from by the time we get up the hill. But so I don't think there was much logging going on there previously because all these camps sprouted up.
And once again, Doug brings up a valid point about these sightings being in areas where they have the not been logged or have old growth.
Well, it seems to be areas that have been logged within the last 30 to 40 years need to be nearby. Yeah. I see also a lot of regular activity in areas that have been totally logged, but they've got nice small regrowth, like 30-foot trees, you know.
Chuck just asked if that's where we did the Fox 23 interview. I almost forgot about that one. We did a 2-day spread over the news on Fox 23 when it was existing. And yes, it's close by, very close by. We were down the hill. We were a little bit south of that area because the satellites can't even get a signal going to the top of the hill where we normally hang out. So I've done actually 2 TV channels there, WRGB6 and Fox 23, and neither one could get a signal at the top, right at the hot zone. We had to go down the hill a little bit so they could get a signal. But unfortunately, it's 11 o'clock. Actually, it's past 11. So time flies when you're having fun.
Well, thanks so much, Steve, for the invite. And
Doug, it's been great talking.
Fun conversation that could go on for ever.
I know, it's like all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, it's 11 already. Where did time go?
Yeah.
But I want to thank you for coming on. And folks, again, if you want to pre-order a copy or get in and help fund this thing, the link will be in the show description down below. It's the first link on the page as you're scrolling down. And again, give it a read and get involved, get behind this. This is some huge stuff. Even if it comes up with nothing, it's the biggest, we're getting a bunch of pitches here and we're taking some big swings, and that's more than we've done in many, many years. But again, Doug, thank you. And
thank you. And thank you, Chris. And it's good seeing you.
Man,
and I'm gonna go back to work. I gotta go work on Legend Meets Science right now, literally.
Well, we look forward to it. I'm waiting with bated breath.
Yeah.
So we'll see you all soon.
All right, Doug. Take care.
Thanks. Bye.
And Chris, do your thing, my brother.
What a great guy. I always love having Doug on. Man, it's been too long since we had him since the last time. But great guy.
Busy. Yep.
Made my all-time favorite shows series, MonsterQuest. When this guy does something, he does it right.
Yep.
And I want to thank him again for being on with us tonight. And I want to thank everybody in the chat. Appreciate you guys. We're so honored to have you. Thank you so much for joining us. If it's your first time watching us on YouTube, hey man, smash that like button. Okay. Hit the subscribe if you hadn't already. For you guys that's listening on the podcast, get over to the YouTube channel or go to SquatchDTV.com and you can check out all the videos there. But we thank you for joining us.
Hey folks, and guess what?
That's it.
We have been here for, another couple of months. We will be on YouTube now, going on 4 years already, Chris.
Oh no.
4 years.
I got socks older than that. Are you sure it's
And you know what?
4 years. No, I don't see
I saw a little snide remark come through again.
Oh, that's okay.
Right? But guess what? Guess what, Chris? Yeah, guess what?
Enjoy the band.
That's right. Strike three, you're out.
Oh, man.
Sorry, I warned him. And you know what? I cannot be spending any more energy on a unruly child in the chat room.
And on that note.
Yep. But on that note, we want to wish everybody a happy, healthy, and safe week. Guys, check out the member page. Like I said, support some good research, support a good channel. We try our best, and one thing you can always count on us is our honesty. So anyway, folks, on behalf of me and Chris, everybody have a great night. Be healthy, stay safe. Catch you all next week here at 9 p.m. Eastern, Sunday nights. And again, most of all, keep on squatching. Catch you all next week.
Hey folks, you've been watching Squatch-D TV. Join us each week, Sunday night at 9 p.m. Eastern for the latest on the Bigfoot mystery. As always, we thank you for being our loyal viewers and encourage all to subscribe to our YouTube page at youtube.com/Steve Kulls. As always, have a great week. Stay safe. God bless and keep on squatching.